Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Help Me Understand. Today we are diving into a topic that is often misunderstood, indoctrination. We're going to explore what the term truly means, how it's been misused, and why understanding this can help create a more open and accepting society. First of all, we need to define indoctrination in order to better understand it so we can get through the rest of this lesson. So indoctrination is the process of teaching someone or a group of people to accept a specific set of beliefs or ideas uncritically, often without encouraging independent thought or questioning. Some key aspects of indoctrination include one-sided teaching, which is presenting information in a way that excludes alternative perspectives or critical analysis. Number two, discouraging skepticism, which means discouraging questions or critical thinking that might challenge the belief system that's being taught. And then also manipulation, number three, which is using emotional or coercive tactics to enforce acceptance of ideas. Now, let's talk about how the word indoctrination is sometimes misused. In recent times, we've seen the term thrown around to push specific agendas, especially in discussions about education and identity. Some claim that schools are indoctrinating children into being gay or queer. However, this narrative often overlooks the broader context of social norms. In reality, heteronormativity, the belief that heterosexuality is the default or the normal sexual orientation, plays a significant role in our society. From a young age, many are taught to view heterosexual relationships as the norm, which can lead to the marginalization of queer identities. The social norm can be seen as a form of indoctrination because you're not allowed to question or explore non-heteronormative identities. It's often discouraged. We're seeing it a lot with our policies that are starting to spring up around the United States right now. Now I want to talk about this indoctrination versus education in a way that's more relevant to the conversations that are being had all around the United States right now. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, but why do they need to learn about LGBTQ stuff anyway? That's pushing an agenda. Think about it this way. Schools also teach about different religions. That doesn't mean they're trying to convert children into those religions. Learning that there are different types of people that exist who have different sexual orientations or gender expressions is not the same as forcing that child to be that other orientation or that other identity. It's not about making kids anything or forcing them to believe anything. It's about making sure that children understand and respect that people are different, that people exist in different contexts around them. It allows them to better understand how everyone fits together in a very diverse world where we all have different skills, different understandings of life, and different ways of being. If you're thinking, but kids are too young to learn about sexuality. Sexuality and gender identity aren't the same thing as sex. When schools talk about LGBTQIA+ topics, it's usually in the same way they talk about straight families, like reading a book where there's two moms, or learning that trans people exist. No one thinks it's inappropriate when a kid learns that boys marry girls, so why would it be inappropriate to learn that some boys marry boys? You might be wondering, well, how is this agenda being pushed in schools? What exactly is the big concern? And the big concern is about history, biology, things like that. People argue that teaching about trans and intersex people, just them existing, is pushing an agenda. But ironically, removing that education actually means ignoring basic biology. Now, you might say, well, what do you mean? Biology is simple. XX means girl, XY means boy. But that's the very simplistic common idea around biology. It's actually a little more complicated than that. Schools teach that chromosomes play a role in sex determination. That's the physical sex expressed by the body. But they also teach that variations exist. For example, some people are born with XXY chromosomes. And it's difficult for me to say the word, but it's called the Klinefelter syndrome. Others are born intersex, meaning that they have the biological traits that don't fit the typical definition of male or female bodies. This is real and it's observable in science. It's not that rare. And listen, just because something is rare doesn't mean we shouldn't teach it. Left-handed people are rare too. We don't pretend that they don't exist. People with green eyes, for example, also exist. We talk about green eyes in school. We talk about how green eyes can be a trait that is dominant or non-dominant. So why should we ignore intersex and trans people when they're just another natural variation? Understanding biology also means understanding that sex and gender are not the same thing. While sex is about physical traits like chromosomes, hormones, gender is about how people experience and express themselves in society. Schools teach about gender roles, just like they teach about cultural differences in history and human behavior. If we remove discussions of transgender people, we're not just limiting social studies, we're limiting scientific education. It is crucial to foster environments where questions are welcomed and different ways of life are respected. Ultimately, understanding that indoctrination isn't about teaching diverse identities, but rather about enforcing a rigid worldview without question, can help us move towards a more inclusive society. In reality, teaching about diversity, alternative ways of living, and variations in science that create the types of people that we observe in everyday life is just creating a more well-rounded and better educated person. At the end of the day, it's important to understand that the real indoctrinations are not the LGBTQIA community asking for schools to recognize their existence. It's the people that are pushing pro-heteronormativity in schools, pushing religious beliefs in schools, saying that we only have one religion in the United States, and things of that nature. That's where the real indoctrination comes in, and that's why we should all be looking in the mirror and making sure that we use this term in a way that is accurate and makes sense. We need to describe things that are really versions of indoctrination without getting confused and spreading misinformation because we don't quite understand something. I hope this helps. Thank you for joining me today, and I appreciate your time.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.